Director General of DMPR, Mr. Jacob Mbele, MEC for Economic Development and Tourism, Mr. Ngubela Peters in the Eastern Cape, CF Group Chairperson, Ms. Ayanda Noah, CF Group Subsidiary Chairpersons, Mr. Rupa, Chair of PASA, Ms. Figland, Chair of Legacy Boards, CF Group Acting CEO, Dr. Mokoka, CF Group Subsidiary CEOs, Group CEO of ESCOM, Mr. Dan Marukana, distinguished industrial leaders, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to this important historic event. Today, we are about to witness the birth of the new South African during the State of the Nation address, whereby the Honorable President of the Republic, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, made a policy decision to repurpose and rationalize state-owned enterprises to support growth and development in South Africa. I am the first to admit that those who started this journey of rationalizing these three subsidiaries of Central Energy Fund, namely PetroSA, iGas, Strategic Fuel Fund, to establish what is today known as the South African National Petroleum Company, in short SNPC, are women and men of character. I'm told this journey was very turbulent. Under the stewardship of SAF Group Chairperson and the SAF Executives team, had to work tirelessly around the clock despite challenges posed by COVID-19, which slowed the process and engagement with various cabinet committees to fulfill the requirements as laid out by cabinet to merge the three entities. To them we say a big thank you. We also wish to express our gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources for the unwavering support he provided to the team, SAF, until myself and fellow board members were appointed to lend a hand to ensure we fulfill the Cabinet's decision to merge these subsidiaries to do away with duplication, inefficiencies, loss-making entities, and many other things that affected these subsidiaries. Ladies and gentlemen, the birth of this new petroleum champion is by design, inspired by government's relentless efforts to shape the future of the South African energy security, industrialization agenda, and economic transformation. As you are all aware, the new SNPC will participate along the whole value chain of oil and gas, that is upstream, downstream, and midstream, with the specific emphasis to make sure that the infrastructure is available to ensure the security of supply. This also resulted in the government, through the Competition Commission, approving Central Energy Fund's application to acquire Supref refinery and its related assets. This acquisition will support the SNPC asset portfolio, helping sustain essential facets of the manufacturing sector in our country. At present, the National Ports Authority is conducting a process that carries significant implications for this acquisition. To ensure the success of the project, it is imperative to implement strategic management within the Island View strategy, which incorporates key principles to protect national security interests. This strategy must address vital national objectives such as security of supply, national security interest, sovereignty of the Republic, transformation and equity, utilizing the ministerial directive related to Section 79 of the National Ports Act of 2005. It is vital for the strategy to achieve its intended outcomes, which include securing the Republic's national security, promoting its strategic and economic interests, and meeting international obligations. To further advance the strategic stocks mandate and regional integration, the SNPC will be approaching the Minister of Transport through DMPR, requesting her for a directive to the National Post Authority to authorize SNPC in obtaining some of the leases for sites directly linked to the refinery, in accordance with Section 79 of the National Ports Act of 2005. This initiative aims to protect SNPC's investment and reduce dependence on IOC, that is International Oil Companies, terminals for accessing the inland and coastal markets. Additional strategic measures by the National Ports Authority must safeguard the sector and current investments from inefficacious strategic designs, ensuring their protection. Presently, crude oil for South Africa's inland refinery, Natref, in Sasolburg is transported via the SPM in the Indian Ocean off Durban coast. The shutdown of Durban refineries has reduced the single buoy mooring utilization by 80%, leading to a significant increase in costs for Natref's utilization of SPM, posing a threat to its sustainability and thereby security of supply, specifically the jet fuel at our one of the main international airports, OR Tambo. These financial strains could force the refinery to close, making South Africa dependent on imports to grow to 85% of its petroleum needs and increasing vulnerability and security of supply. The Central Energy Fund's acquisition of the dormant subrefinery with a capacity of 180,000 barrels per day aims to reignite production or establish a new mega refinery with a capacity of between 450 to 600,000 barrels per day. This endeavor seeks to diversify energy sources and lessen independence on imported petroleum products. Furthermore, it supports high-value manufacturing and nurtures a highly skilled workforce directly and across input industries. Moreover, we will reach out to the ministers of minerals and petroleum resources, transport, forest, fisheries, and environment, seeking permission and support through enabling legislation for the SNPC to convert the SPM to a multi-buoy mooring for greater flexibility in liquid bulk handling in the Durban precinct. This will position the SNPC as an agent to implement the agreed policy, namely separating molecule holders from terminal operations. Establishing a state-owned independent terminal operator to manage port facilities is crucial to ensuring equal access to berths, countering the detrimental IOC agendas, and prioritizing security of supply, thereby reinforcing system integrity. SNPC will not be just another company. It will be a national asset. It is the embodiment of government's vision for a modernized, integrated, and impactful energy sector player. South Africa needs a strong and agile energy company to be able to respond to energy challenges faced by the country, as well as advancing the key components of the National Development Plan. We are laying a foundation for a high-performing future national energy champion that will be agile, efficient, and capable of delivering long-term value for all South Africans. In conclusion, the SNPC is open for business, and we look forward to engaging with other government departments, SOCs, private sector, on possible areas of collaboration to strengthen South Africa's position as an energy leader in Africa by building integrated, innovative, and sustainable energy systems. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that was beautifully captured to give us an overview. We're now going to go into just the strategic vision and the mission of SANPC. So please allow me to call to stage somebody who I have watched use more influence than authority to galvanize everybody about SANPC. And it is said the key to successful leadership today is, in fact, influence and not authority. So please help me warmly welcome to stage the CEO of SANPC, Mr. Mojalefa Godfrey Moagi. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Maybe I need to adjust this. There is always a bit of a challenge between me and Chair in terms of height. So hopefully I'll be able to get to the mic. Thank you very much, Program Director. Honorable Minister Mantashe, MEC, Madam Peters from one of the very famous provinces. Thank you very much for being with us. DG of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, DDGs who are present here, the CEOs, chairpersons of subsidiaries, Group Chair, SMM, I cannot forget you, because we're still looking for money from you, I was told this morning. Group CEO, thank you very much for being here. I think it's important to acknowledge our customers. If our customers are here, SNPC is going to be a different company. We want to be customer focused. We want to focus on our customers. When we meet our customers, we should be saying, "Good morning, boss," because those are the people who are going to pay our salaries. Customers and suppliers, we want to thank you for being with us. I'm supposed to get some little remotes so that I can run through the presentation, okay? I don't even know how it works. Okay, thank you very much. Program Director, we are actually starting a very interesting journey. SNPC is going to be an integrated oil and gas company. Not only integrated, but it's going to be integrated and responsible oil and gas company. It's going to be important that we acknowledge that although we are a new company, we actually do have assets. We're not starting from scratch. PetroSA, SFF, and iGas do have some of the most strategically placed assets that we're going to be using. So we're ready to run. It's not that we're going to start from scratch. One of the leverages that we're going to have to do is to partner both with private sector, with the government, with the regulators, and with labor. Actually, it's very important to acknowledge that labor worked very hard with us to get us to where we got to. And they're going to continue to be our partners as we create jobs. And of course, our brand is going to be centered around the customer. It's very important that we protect our brand. It's very important that when you see SNPC, you are proud that you've got one of the best brands, and it's a brand that needs to be trusted with security of supply. This has been quite a long journey. The journey started in 2020, as Chair said, with the state president saying to us, we need to repurpose state-owned entities. We need to make sure that they are sustainable, and we need to make sure that they contribute to the economy. On the 1st of May 2025, we actually operationalized SNPC. So as we sit here, we've got a company running. Last night when we checked, actually, we had started paying 388 people who are working for SNPC. So we are proud of that. SNPC was established for a purpose. When we look at the group, one of the big challenges that we're facing was the fact that the group is in financial trouble. We needed to make sure that we get it out of that situation, make sure that it's financially sustainable, and it can actually continue beyond where it is. Secondly, we needed to exercise our muscle to make sure that we can look after this country because the world has changed. We've got refineries which were closing. This country, those who have been around for a while will remember that pre-2006, we were actually the net exporter of finished product. 2010, we were importing 20% of the product that we consume. Today, depending which refinery is going to maintenance when, we import between 60 and 70%. And it's very important that we actually step up, look at our infrastructure to make sure that we can look after this country. Energy independence is very important, and we cannot overemphasize the fact that we needed to change the legislation. Remember, the legislations that we are dealing with, they actually go back to apartheid days. And when we look at them, these companies were protected from the market. They were actually supported by the government, and the world changed. Oil does not come from the Gulf of Mexico any longer. We've got oil in Africa, in the Middle East, and it's very important that we now begin to position ourselves to be able to use our resources. And it was important to consider economic growth to make sure that we create jobs, we drive the government's agenda, and we help this country to be energy independent and, of course, invest in infrastructure. The infrastructure that we got now, if you think about it, bringing 19 billion liters into this country, where you used to import nothing, you actually used to export. You need to invest quite a lot in infrastructure. And SNPC will be driving that agenda quite hard, to make sure that with our partners, private sector, public sector, we are able to deliver on our mandate to actually, look after this country. So, one of the things that we're going to be focusing on as SNPC is economic transformation, just to make sure that we actually change the landscape. If you look back 30 years later, we actually don't have significant players who come from previously disadvantaged group. And it's going to be important as a company to drive that agenda and drive it harder. We've got young women and men who are working in SNPC today. And I always say to our colleagues, these are our future leaders. And these are the people who are going to change the narrative as we go forward. It's very important that we begin to invest quite a lot in developing those people, making sure that, tomorrow when we throw away the baton, we've got people to drive that agenda. Our business proposition, security of supply is our key mandate. We cannot go to bed and sleep unless we know that this country can go back to sleep and know that they are secured. The world has changed, colleagues. It's very important that SNPC occupies the right space to secure energy for this country. The second issue in terms of our proposition is shareholders' returns. The second issue is the shareholders' returns. We need to make sure that we do return money back to our government. We do give returns back to the public. We actually make sure that we are sustainable as a company. It's going to be very important that we continue to drive that. We want a high-performance company. Colleagues, I think there is a narrative going around to say it's another state-owned entity, it will collapse tomorrow. I promise you, you're going to be surprised. Watch what is coming. We are absolutely determined. We're going to drive this company. We're going to build a different narrative. to make sure that South Africans can be proud of this brand. This is not going to be one of those brands. It's going to be the brand to actually make sure that people can go back to sleep. And of course, there is energy transition, and we're not oblivious to the fact that the world is moving on. The world is changing. But you know what? We need to make sure that we cover the base first. We need to make sure that, SNPC can assure the minister, the country, the citizens, that you're not going to see cars queuing at the service station because we can't deal with that. And when the base is covered, then we'll be ready to actually start looking at transition. We're going to do it in a responsible way. We can't be reckless and actually plug the country into energy poverty while we're looking at, we just need to transition. And our upstream, we've got 20% carrying as SNPC, and we believe that that will actually boost the organization going forward. We need to develop our resources. And I think, you look at countries like Angola, 50% of that country is driven by oil and gas. They're talking about 9 billion barrels of crude reserves. You're talking to colleagues from PASA, they'll tell you about 27 billion. This country is one of the biggest consumer of oil and gas. Between South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt, we are big, right? And we need to play big. We cannot play second fiddle. And you look at the contribution that if we don't tell ourselves that we're going to play big, we will not play big. We are the bigger consumer of hydrocarbons, and we need to make sure that, we play in the right league. Of course, we've got challenges with environmentalists, and we need to engage. We need to make sure that they understand that development is important. We're one of those countries struggling with unemployment. It's very critical that we create jobs, we develop our resources. Sonangol, you look at that country economy, it's fairly small versus South Africa. Sonangol employs 13,000 people. You look at Petrobras in Brazil, 46,000 people. Saudi Aramco, 75,000 people. We are a big consumer. We are a big market. When you look at those numbers, just think about what we can create. I believe we're going to create something extraordinary. We're going to create something that we can really be proud of as SNPC. And of course, it's very important that we separate ourselves. We are known differently as SNPC. And people, I know we had challenges in the past, as these three entities. We corrected those challenges, but don't judge us on the basis of what happened in the past. In terms of the midstream business, we're not starting from scratch, right? You look at the coast from Western Cape, we've got, Saldanha Terminal, one of the biggest terminal in the Southern Hemisphere, 45,000 barrels of storage. We are present in Cape Town. You go along the coast, Southern Cape, we've got PetroSA asset there, and recently we have acquired Sapref. And when you look at all those assets, you can actually acknowledge the fact that SNPC does not start from scratch. It's very important. And more importantly, I earlier on spoke about the volume that we brought into this country. We're spending $22.5 billion to bring the volume into this country. Surely, that's a big space to play in. People will go to bed worried and say, how can we import so much? Actually, for us, we see it as an opportunity. SNPC is prepared to occupy that space to go and play there. And of course, with our customers, with our partners, we are ready to leverage those assets. And our key success is going to be from people. Colleagues, this industry, you can have a lot of technology. If you don't have the right people, you're going to be challenged. It's going to be important that we consider that. So, as I said earlier on, this morning, we have paid 388 people from SNPC. They come from 3 entities, but the work has just started because we're going to be engaging with the process of transformation. We're going to engage with change management. It's very interesting when you engage with people across these 3 entities. You begin to look at, actually, we're going to have to create SNPC culture, the culture of performance, the culture of accountability. And those people are looking forward, and we're very proud, to have men and women who are very knowledgeable. You look at experience across the 3 entities, and we've got a lot of energy, a lot of experience that we can use. Some of the things that we don't forget, we are clear that we need to look after the environment, we need to look at the social issues, and we're going to look at governance. So we want each and every employee to go to work and come back in one piece. We want to see our customers, our suppliers interacting with us and feeling safe. And of course, we're going to have to make sure that we deal with the environmental issues. And more importantly, SNPC needs to be known differently. We need to be known to respect governance. We need to be known to be an ethical company. We need to be known as a company that when you interact with them, you don't have to be worried about what may be coming your way. So, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, MEC, that's the company that is going to change life for South Africans. I thank you.
So, Mr. Moahi, I have a different challenge to you. Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for Mr. Moahi. I think it's always important that when you launch something, you don't just look at collaboration, but you also look at integration. And so friends of the brand who will be of assistance are quite important. And I'm going to call somebody to stage who's going to give a message of support to SANPC. They like to call him a prominent voice in energy. I think he's much more than that. I think he's an integral voice for Africans in general. He utilizes platforms that he has not just to uplift energy and himself, but he brings Black Africans together with him wherever he goes. He's become a brother of mine. We sit on the phone and we just figure out how to work things out. He's far more advanced in the energy space than I am. So please help me welcome to stage the Executive Chairperson of the African Energy Chamber, Mr. NJ Ayub.
Good morning. You guys didn't have breakfast. Good morning. Good. Minister Mantashe, I plead to stand on all protocols observed. I'll be very honest to tell you, Godfrey Mohagi did not invite me to be here because he knows I was going to charge. So he always finds middle people to say, get him on the stage. So, Godfrey, I'll send you a check. It is indeed an honor to be here in this new dawn of something that is going to be transformative to a country that doesn't just mean so much for its people, but for the entire African continent. When I told a few people I was coming here, one of Minister Mantashe's very good friends in Europe says, that's a strange entity they're trying to create. It's not going to really work. There is nothing strange about SANPC. What is strange is what you have to deal with and the people that are plotting for you to fail. You are going to shock the world, and it's our job to prove them wrong. South Africa's energy security. We've seen days with, months actually, with load shedding. It's getting better and better every day. We've seen cars lined up with getting products. But we've also seen trouble with issues around gas and a hope for a better future when it comes to energy. It cannot be driven by everybody from outside. It has to be driven with homegrown solutions right here in South Africa. And that's why you need an SANPC, because you are going to be driving your own future. This company, as Mr. Mwagi just told us, I think it starts a new chapter. But to shift it a little bit, it's kind of like what Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God, writing our own history. This is it for you guys. This is it for South Africa. And if we don't really champion this and succeed with this and drive this, then we have ourselves to blame, because the next generation is going to say, why did you stand idle by when our energy security was at risk? And that's why we hope that this company is going to be not just a South African company, but a company that sees that gateway into Africa. That gateway that says that this is not just going to be destination South Africa, but it's a 300 million market across SADC. You should be capturing that and getting that energy security for them too, and making a lot of money for this country. And don't be ashamed about making money. South Africa deserves it, because when every time South Africa needs to stand up, it stands up and it does it. But Mwagi, you know, on your board, we're also going to challenge you. We're going to challenge you to run better companies, because we're going to charge you to say, let's defy those that say that it's not possible, those that say that it's going to be another African gimmick. But let's also say this country that has been the cradle of education in Africa, has done so much with so much experience, financial markets, people with strong vision, to say we believe that we can have something that can be the envy of Africa and envy of the world. That we can also today start that march into having an Aramco, a Qatar Energy, a Sonagol, an NNPC, and even bigger than that, because we've learned from the mistakes of others, we've learned from their success, and we can charter our own course. And that's where you get an SANPC forging that. But that also comes with us taking that solemn commitment that we cannot let the leadership fail, we cannot let South Africa fail, because when they do, it's all of us that fail. It's all of us that can succeed, because a lot of people, their jobs, their security, not knowing that this company would exist, are counting on us to be better. And we deserve to be better. Credible partner to international oil companies, international investors that are looking at South Africa. SNPC has to be that champion. It shouldn't have to be Minister Mantashe doesn't like to travel. Invite him you invite him even to Mozambique, the guy doesn't go. You know, he likes to say, come to South Africa, come spend money here, which is a good thing. But SNPC should go out there and really champion this country, brand South Africa, carry that flag, and really engage international investors. And you know what? When they come here, be their partner. Help Dennis, take care of some of these environmentalists who try to stop him from shooting seismic. Mr. Mantashe, I'm so happy for the first time I was speaking in a South African event that I didn't have people with flags of your photo outside looking to protest you coming. You've done an amazing job. Thank you, sir. Well done. Well done. You've done really amazing to keep them. Did you guys announce this? If you really announce this, your friends will be here waiting for you. But that's okay. We love you. We love the fact that you stand for not just for South Africa. I remember in 2021 when a group moved to Dubai, we reached out to him. He said, keep it in South Africa. He said, don't take it anywhere. Keep it here. I said, are you going to show up? He said, yes, I would. And he did. He kept his word. He kept his commitment. He didn't even write a letter. He just showed up. And he said, I told you I'll be here. And I think that kind of commitment, when you have from government towards an energy company, an integrated one like SNPC, that kind of backing gives confidence to this board and this company, and that kind of backing itself also sends a strong message to investors that SNPC is ready for business. SNPC is going to champion South Africa, and Africa is watching to see how you go and how you partner with everybody. And Dennis, there's only one thing I'm going to tell you and Shell: drill, baby, drill. Thank you so much, and good luck to SNPC.
I was getting a little anxious that you weren't going to say it. I wanted you to say it because that's like your key thing. Drill, baby, drill. Thank you so much. And you get agreement there. Drill, baby, drill. Thank you so much, NJ, for that message of support. They say in media and in rooms that in future we'll have no such thing as women leaders. Everybody will just be called leaders. But until then, we're going to embrace our femininity. I'm very proud to call to stage one such leader. She's a woman, and she happens to be the group chairperson, the SEF group chairperson for the board of directors. She is after which going to then introduce a distinguished guests for the keynote, but she will deliver the message as a group chair first. So please help me warmly welcome to stage Miss Ayanda Noah. Go. Thank you so much.
It's the walk, I'm told. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Minister Gwede Mantashe. Good morning, Siyabulisa. To the MEC from the province of the legends, the Eastern Cape, Ekaya. Minister Peters, good morning to you as well. I did see UDG somewhere. DG, good morning, and also to the DMPR family, the whole family. To the Central Energy Fund family as well, Osingai and Namhlanje, SNPC, Chemkize, and your board. I see the board is here. Good morning. And also to the CE. And the other family being the CE of SEF, and also the subsidiaries. I did see Uche Figlen at my table with the legacy board members. Also, Chair of Rupa, I did see Chair Rupa somewhere. Good morning, and also good morning to the rest of the family. And of course, to all the non-executive directors who are here, let me greet also the state-owned company leadership. I did see some CEOs from the state-owned companies. Mr. Marukani, I saw you, and I'm sure there are others that I haven't seen. I also want to greet everyone from the IOCs that are here today, from the industry, all the leadership from the petroleum industry as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. You're welcome. And of course, all protocol observed. Mphathiswa ide yafika nemini kudala silindi. Fikile. The day has come that we have all been waiting for. You know, when you translate from, Xhosa or your vernacular to English, it just spoils the whole thing. Ifikile le mini. Fikile le mini namhlanje. I must say that it really is with great excitement, with honor, with pride, with joy that I stand here and I say on behalf of the SEF board, we have delivered. We have delivered the SNPC. We have delivered. Board, we have delivered. It Actually, it's been a very, very interesting journey. I remember that when I joined the family of SEF, it was in 2020, December, 1st of December 2020. And this was a very, very big project for us. And we had been told that it must be delivered in 6 months. We must merge these 3 companies. Really a big, big, big target and a challenge. In 6 months, these companies must be together. So now we have changed the counting system. So 6 months later is now 2025. On the 1st of May 2025, SNPC went live. I will say this much to you, that if you remember that game of snakes and ladders, you remember that game? I think most of us played it. This is what we're actually playing as well as the surfboard. Because sometimes we would feel that we've made progress, and then there's a long snake there. When you think, hey, I've got it, and you get straight into that snake, it swallows you and you go back down there and you start again. And then sometimes you think, okay, I can see that snake. Okay, it's a bit short. Okay, so I'm going to try and just be just before it or just after the snake. And you go in and the snake swallows you. And you go back. And we go back as the surfboard and we say, you know, colleagues, let's go back and deliver. We have to deliver this SNPC. It's very important for the economy. It's going to play a very, very big role. It's not about us as individuals. It is really about the country. It's about making sure that we support government in government's priorities. So it was really important for us to say, you know what, guys, it has swallowed us, but let's regroup, let's think again, and then let's go back and do what we have been mandated to do. And so we got up and we'll do it. And here we are today on the 1st of May 2025. 6 months later, we delivered the SNPC. But let me hasten to say this, colleagues, this is now where the real work begins. I think with what has been said, that we need to make sure that this company delivers. We need to make sure that we are not put in history or labeled in history that it is one of the state-owned companies that came to life and it died as it came to life. I think now our job as the Central Energy Fund and as the group as a whole, our job now begins to say we must make this company a success. And of course, it's going to depend on the family, it's going to depend on the shareholder, it's going to depend on all of us, making sure that we focus the company, we look at the 95 billion opportunities that were identified when we developed the business case, and we need to make sure that we get to those and we make a difference. We must make a difference for the country. We must make sure that our refining capacity in the country is improved. We cannot have so many resources as a country and still struggle. We cannot go hungry, knowing that as a country we have all of these resources. We have the capacity in the country to ensure that we make this a success. So we are really looking forward to having us as a group starting the real work, as I call it. And I'm sure that the team is up to it. Some people would have given up knowing that, you know, this 6 months is so long. They could have given up, they would have given up, but we didn't. And it's all because of the strength of our shareholder. Our Minister Gwede Mantashe, has really been our champion, he's been our driver, he's been our conscience, he's been our supporter, he's been our counsel, he's been everything. And even sometimes when we needed to be shamboked, he did it. And we wouldn't be upset. We would get up and say, but colleagues, I think here we really didn't pull up our socks. We probably could have jumped that snake or made sure that we were before the snake. But we just landed straight in the mouth and it swallowed us. So we would acknowledge. So with that, I am in a way introducing our minister, Honorable Minister Gwede Mantashe, to come to the stage and give his keynote address. Okanye will say President, Mr. President. Good evening. Thank you. And go sympathies.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be as brief as I can. For me, brief is just 2 hours. Program Director, Guban. Obu Program Director. Molo team. DG Mbele, thank you very much. Chairperson of the group, Ayanda Noah, chairpersons of all CF subsidiaries, all of you. I can't mention you one by one. That was never given to me. Even when I was a Minister of Energy, it was kept away from me. And I wanted to have it because I always believed that we were focusing on wrong issues. Instead of focusing on producing electricity from coal, we try all sorts of other things that we have not tested, but it was never given to me. Dada Ayuk, thank you very much for coming here. I'm known here to be a coal fundamentalist. Others call me a fossil fuel dinosaur. So I accept all those titles. I accept all of them. Distinguished guests present here, all of you are important to us. And members of the media, you are not just important because you are here. You are important because we suspect that there are potential customers among you. That is the real essence. Leave this thing that distinguished guests and all those things. We're checking if we can get customers among you who buy our product. We are gathered here today to officially launch the South African National Petroleum Company, SANPC, 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 as a Southern African petroleum champion supporting the region, not only country, the region's energy needs. This marks a significant turning point in our process of stabilizing state-owned entities. We were told a few years ago that, listen, consolidate state entities, make them work more efficient, nobody knew what was meant by this. And we took a decision that we are going to take 3 entities, merge them, and create an energy champion for the country. And those 3 entities are PetroSA, SFF, and iGas. Now, iGas is a very important entity. It manages our gas, but it has one asset, the Romco pipeline from Mozambique. Now, it is merged into others. Then there is PetroSA, which contributes a lot to the SANPC, but it also contributes a lot of liabilities. That is the character of PetroSA. That's why we call it, let's merge the other 2, the trading side, leave the refineries there, because they must be turned around and brought to SNPC. We have a legacy board to do that. So the issue is to focus on inclusive growth. Kubiza ngosisinoko mina le enye la ndibiza leya kwanoko nanso ndiyaziyo ndazileya kwanoko, because that is a very important family to me. Uyayazi ukuthi kandimbona ndiyamreminder all the time ukuthi that thing had reserves of 27 billion rand. It doesn't have a cent today. What happened? And they can't give me the answers. And I said, I'm going to look for a master's student to do a research on PetroSA, and that research will be on typical example of asset stripping. Yeah? I say that myself, because I can't imagine that PetroSA, which has 27 billion rand reserves, is today not having a cent. Then we need a master's student or a group of them do a research on asset stripping and take PetroSA as a case study. We're going to turn it around. That's why Chairperson Sinala Legacy Board, it turned around. This will allow us to have a meaningful participation as the state in oil and gas. In government, this is known about me. I tell them that South Africa is a low-growth economic jurisdiction. Low growth. If we get 1% growth, we celebrate and have parties all over. And I'm saying this country can have between 5 and 8% growth of the economy annually if we touch our oil and gas reserves. We're a strange country. You know, Namibia next door here make huge discoveries of oil deposits. We can't touch them here. If we touch oil, we do exploration, we get taken to court, and we stay in court forever. And we have said to the state, to government, please set up a tribunal of judges to deal with economic dispute and deadlocks and accelerate the process. Because south of the Orange Mouth, there are huge deposits of oil in South Africa, in our hot waters. But NGOs take us to court every time we touch any of them. We said to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, court directed you to give us regulations. You are not giving us this regulation so that we lose the moratorium on shale gas in the Karoo. So we are going to push hard to lift that moratorium, and those who are interested come and invest in shale gas in the Karoo. We've tested it, we've done all sorts of experiments. We sent bottles of that gas to other countries. All came positive that this is an economic deposit. So, we have oil, we have gas, we must exploit it. That's it. That's why the drill, baby drill, is quite important. Now, in building on the success of stakeholder engagement in November last year, this gathering further provides us with another opportunity to unpack South African National Petroleum Company value proposition and its strategic play in its quest to become a leading player in the petroleum sector. When he talks about SANPC, you can think that it's a running company, big company, and you can run for cover. He is still putting it together. But I will come back to that point. It's important that you get excited when you talk about it. You see, I have a team in the department of various entities. Sometimes others think that, will this thing work? Will this thing not work? Should we push hard and so forth? And we said, push on. We've taken this to the cabinet. It has been approved by the cabinet. Therefore, there is no alternative. Once the cabinet approves it, it's law. Let's just push ahead with it. So that is the issue. The real issue is ensuring energy security in the country. Naremwa raised an issue with me, says, should we not get into renewables? I said to him, later. Now, get oil and gas now. Later down, you can diversify. In the wake of evolving global mega trends, including persistent push to shift away from fossil fuel usage, the SANPC is expected to operate in an increasingly volatile, unpredictable, and polarized world. But I can assure you, I'm old enough now to predict some of the things. Yeah, but people don't know that I'm old. And there's one reason for that. I'm handsome. Now, because I'm handsome, people think that I'm young. I'm not young. I'm an old man, but just handsome. So I can predict that we are going to have oil and gas growing in terms of demand in our lifetime. I can't predict what will happen to other generations. Our generation, almost everybody in this room, will see growing demand for oil and gas in our lifetime. That's why the drive for electrical vehicles took everybody by surprise. All of a sudden, the drive is for hybrid vehicles. It's not by accident. It's because developing a technology requires you to check its reliance and its resilience and its reliability as you develop, before you dismantle your old technology. That's how it works. That's the basic principle. Otherwise, you are going to have net zero, as you have seen in Portugal and Spain. They had a net zero. There was no emission, but unfortunately, there was also no electricity. So they did what I always cautioned ourselves against, this thing of wanting to breathe fresh air in darkness. It doesn't work in real life. So you are going to use oil and gas, we are going to use coal for the foreseeable future. Now with the advent of carbon capture, use and storage, we are striving for cleaner coal technologies. And that project in Leandra we've finished the first phase, we're going to the second phase now, is going to extend the life of use of coal in the economy. Now, so, to this end, SANPC is expected to oversee strategic planning, coordination and governance of the country's petroleum resources. Renewables later. Okay. Petroleum resources. For people who are not in the sector, they think that petroleum is something else. Petroleum is oil and gas, in simple terms. So, that is what we're looking for you. Please do look for strategic partnerships internationally, because other countries have experience, access that experience, tap into it. The local refining capacity is also quite critical. So reviving PetroSA is important. SAPREF is important. And therefore, if there are people who want to partner with us in either in Mossel Bay or in SAPREF in Durban, please talk to Moahi and the team here. Talk to them. Because we're open for business, we're open for partnerships, we're open for people who want to invest, but don't want to take the asset away from us. I'm a great believer of developing and growing state capacity. I believe in that because I always tell people a weak state is an irritation to itself, as an irritation even to the private sector. The state must be strong enough and be able to engage the private sector as a strong state. A weak state is an irritation. That's my belief. Now, since 2009, South Africa has experienced 11% year-on-year growth in import of fuel relative to local market production. It's because refineries have been closed. And our view is that those refineries must be made to work, and we must actually develop our own refining capacity. Now, having said that, it is important to ensure that we have good governance. Good governance. I always explain this thing, good governance, in a way that people always question me. I say good governance is a very critical component of reducing both operational and financial risks. If you have a problem of governance, that entity is going to run into all sorts of problems. We have just received an entity from another department called Alexcor. Yeah, called Alexcor. And we get that entity, one, it is on disclaimer in terms of audit outcomes. And we looked into it, the first thing that we noticed was that there was no governance. A board there was renewed for 3 years without being appointed as a permanent board. That's why we moved and appointed a board as the first step. Last week we went there to look into managerial structure and we have views that we've expressed. I'm not going to talk about them here. But governance reduces both operational and financial risks. And we're putting a lot of emphasis on that. So it is quite important to us to continue doing that. We are particularly pleased with the progress made by the transfer of employees and assets. 402, that's too small a number. We must see more progress on that. They are all from 3 entities. That means that the challenge is to create new jobs. On top of that 402, must create new jobs. Now, having said that, I want to make this last point for me. To me, any entity to succeed or collapse is a function of leadership. Weak leadership collapse entities. Strong leadership strengthen entities. And that leadership have few components to it. A vision. A vision. A vision is something that looks very abstract, but it's about clarifying yourself and knowing where you want to go. Where do you want to be? When? That vision. And that vision must do few things. It must inspire the team. Okay. It must keep the team together. It must make the team have a desire to deliver on the expectations of the entity. Now I'm talking to leadership here. Sometimes leaders find themselves in a situation where they get threatened by skills around them. Good leaders appoint good skills around them, even better skills. Because if you appoint better skills around you, you are creating an environment where you stand on the shoulders of the skilled team and you shine. Yeah? So that leadership must be inspiring. It must unite the team. It must build the team. Now, then we all have common objective. Where do you want to go with South African National Petroleum Company? All of us must say the same. It doesn't matter who you meet, must say the same message. That is the beauty of going to China. If you go to China, you'll meet a member of the Politburo. There the party is very strong. They will give you this message. You go down to branches there and you talk to them, message sing. Okay, because the vision is clear. If the president of China make a pronouncement, that is law. So in an entity, that's what is required of leadership. Leadership must not send confusing signals. Leadership must be consistent and send one message. And if we do that, I can tell you that there will be dedication to execution. We'll execute. And SNPC will be big. I can tell you. So, I'm appealing for leadership. I'm working with a number of state entities in the department. One of them, I asked a few of them one day. I work with through CEOs and asked them, you are this age, have you identified 3 people who may take over from you when you retire? They get shocked when I ask this question. I go to the next one, same question, next one, same question. They don't expect this question. And I say to one entity, very highly skilled, a number of PhDs and masters, I say to them, all of them are specialized skills. You are weak with managerial capacity. Managerial capacity, you see. It was CGS, because it's a good entity. CGS, a good entity, good geologists, geological mapping, tops, everything, tops, doctors in geology, in geometrics, geodat, and geodat, and masters graduates, but you hardly find an MBA graduate in the team. And I said, this absence of MBA graduates in your team reflects lack of commitment on developing managerial capacity. And I said to them, if need be, identify few people, take 2 to SPL, take 2 to VES, take 2 to KIPS, and they will come back and you develop a coherent management team. It applies to SANPC, okay, as well. You can have all the petroleum engineers, if you don't have a team, this vision that I'm talking about is not going to be as clear as you expect it to be. So, my submission is that let's build SANPC, let's have a board, but there must be collective leadership that is looking forward to run SANPC into new heights. Thank you very much.
Gotta love the leadership. So I'm going to say SANPC from now, because I heard the minister loud and clear, we must send one message. So SANPC it is. SANPC it is. The team have spent some time really putting together what the brand is going to look like for external parties, not just clients. And so we're really excited because we're going to reveal our brand message and our logo. Our brand message and our logo is not just a pretty picture. I always have a problem with that with marketing and comms. People think we just color in and we have pretty drawings. There's meaning to everything, and we took our time putting it together. Because a brand and a logo is a promise you give to your clients and to the nation at large. Now, to give us the showcase for our brand and the logo reveal, please help me welcome to stage Phumeza Dlamini, who is one of the SANPC board members.
Thank you very much. Just switch that off. Okay. Minister of the DMRP, Mr. Gwede Mantashe, MEC of Economic Development and Tourism, Ms. Nongubelo Peters. I stand on all protocol observed. Good morning, everybody. And you all look so beautiful this morning. Give yourselves a round of applause. Standing in front of you is Phumeza Dlamini. I serve on the SANPC board as an independent, non-executive director. Ladies and gentlemen, it is both a privilege and a deeply symbolic moment to officially unveil the logo of the South African National Petroleum Company. A visual identity that captures the essence of our strategic mandate, national pride, and continental ambition. The SNPC logo is more than just a design. It signifies our role as a reliable and consistent energy catalyst, aligned with the broader national agenda of energy security and economic transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our brand. You can put up the logo for me, please. At the heart of our logo is a glowing sphere in rich yellow, representing Earth's universal energy source. Surrounding the sun is the infinite energy loop, a sophisticated representation of energy molecules in endless motion. The loop is a deliberate nod to the dynamic and integrated nature of South Africa's energy mix. It embodies our commitment to sustainability, circularity, a resilience in delivering secure, inclusive, and forward-looking energy solutions for South Africa, the SADC region, and the broader African continent. Each bead in this loop is carefully chosen, both in color and in meaning, reflecting the full spectrum of our diverse energy mix that powers our nation. Rich yellow, the sun, symbolizes energy, freedom, optimism, honor, These are all values that guide our work as custodians of South Africa's energy future. Liquid black, oil, denotes sophistication, power, a security anchoring us in the legacy infrastructure that continues to support the economy. Vibrant orange, gas, speaks to ambition, vitality, representing our drive to accelerate gas development in line with the national energy diversification priorities. Deep blue, hydro, represents integrity, respect, and trust, echoing our responsibility to uphold the highest standards of governance and public accountability. Forest green, bioenergy, symbolizes growth and sustainability, reinforcing our commitment to just energy transition and environmental stewardship. Now, ladies and gentlemen, carbon grey. Coal, Minister. Coal reflects stability, maturity, acknowledging existing baseload contributions while responsibly managing our transition path. The use of traditional African beads within the structure is both a cultural and a political statement, a declaration that this is the South African National Petroleum Company. This is the South African energy champion. This is the African dream. Ladies and gentlemen, this energy champion is rooted in heritage, operating with global standards, and committed to serving all citizens. It symbolizes our unity in diversity and the inclusive energy future we are building, not only for today's generation, but for those to come. This logo is not merely a brand asset. It's a statement of intent. It reflects the SANPC's role as a strategic enabler of the developmental state, a partner to both the public and the private sector, and a contributor to South Africa's reindustrialization, energy independence, and socio-economic upliftment. Ladies and gentlemen, the SANPC has arrived. It's proudly African. It's proudly African, nationally grounded, and globally competitive. Thank you.
Please could we cast our eyes on the screen as we watch the following video.
Introducing the power of tomorrow, the South African National Petroleum Company.
One of the opportunities that we recognized was that in the market, in the oil and gas market, there's a market opportunity of more than 95 billion rand that we felt we could tap into. Remember that the SNPC is a state-owned company. It is responsible for the security of energy supply. It really is very important that as government can come to the party when we have a problem with supply of energy in the country, and this company
is a game changer, not just for South Africa, but for the entire continent. This new company will support key government strategies, foster regional integration in oil and gas, and ensure South Africa leads the way in the global energy market. The SANPC is poised to lead South Africa into a bright, energy-secure future. We are SANPC, your partner in powering tomorrow. South African National Petroleum Company, powering your tomorrow.
So So we're going to draw to a close, but before we do that, I'm going to invite somebody on stage who's going to thank you accordingly. Thank you for taking your time to come here. Thank you for those that have joined us online. Please help me welcome to stage the CEO of SEF Group, Dr. Tsepo Mokoka.
It's still morning, so good morning, Minister. Good morning, MEC Peters. Let me lean on as well on the protocol that has already been observed. I'd like to start by thanking you, Minister, for giving us an opportunity to pause and take stock of all the efforts that we've put in for us to be able to be here today to officially launch the SNPC. I'd like to thank you once more, Minister, for giving SEF yet another opportunity to birth an energy champion. This entity did the same in the heydays together with the IDC to birth successfully Sasol. We are pleased, Minister, and thankful that you've given the SEF board an opportunity to birth yet another agent of change for the industry. I'd like to thank the Director General of the department, Ntate Mbele, and his team for the support over all these years that he has lended to the SEF board and the SEF colleagues all the way to where the bill is. Thank you very much, DG, for that. I'd like to thank Chenoa. Minister will always tell you that she insists to be called chairman. Even on her office door, it's written chairman. She's not a chairperson, she's a chairman. So, Chairman Noah, thank you for all the years, months, weeks, and hours that you've put in bringing together the colleagues at PetroSA, SFF, and iGas, and providing leadership for us to be in a position to deliver the promise to the Honorable Minister and the people of this country. Thank you very much for your visionary leadership. I think we should have a round of applause for it. I would also like to thank Chair Fidlan and her respective boards of iGas, PetroSA, and SFF for all the hours in putting together all the necessary agreements and all the work streams that had to give us what is coherent today. Thank you, Chair Fidlan, and your board for your assistance. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Chair Mkhize and his board for the leadership that they have provided to the SNPC management to ensure that they provide strategic guidance to the team for us to be able to get to this point today. Thank you very much, Chair Mkhize, for that, and your board. Thank you for that hard work. I'd like to also take this opportunity to, from the bottom of my heart, thank Dr. Ishmael Polo for the hard work that he has put in for us to be here today. As a wonderful South African who loves this country, who worked very, very hard to ensure, Minister, that at an operational level,